Hey, there we go. All right. Okay. Gotta get in the mind space for some streaming. I didn't stream yesterday because I just wanted to take a break. So I'm back, and again, I'm a man with no plan, and that means I'm gonna figure out what I can do instead. So let's get this back to the right size here. I I uh, I think what I might do is what might I do? Well, I've got this. Okay, here's what I'll do. So I'm in the middle. I have two projects that I need to get done this week. One is a quilt pattern, and one is a first pass prototype for a tool that helps you make exercise workouts. So exercise workouts, climbing workout plans with some basic like rock climbing exercises. So both of those, I've got the one clamber is what I want to call it. I got to try put in some basic stuff that helps you get. I have to look up the specs I need to do that with, but that's fine. And then the other one is a quilt pattern. So maybe I'll just get those both up. I find my ability to start working on stuff is way easier when it's literally already running, so that's not a bad place to start. So here FP is not functional programming. In this case it is first point, which is the name of the next quilt pattern I have to do. So I'm going to get this. I am going to get this blah blah blah. I'm going to get this project started up with a REPL and everything. What I'm not sure of is if I'm not sure if things will break. I think they might, because this is the first time I'm pulling in my SVG library instead of this used to be called Stylo, and Stylo is the, I guess you could call it, deprecated prototype version of the library. My speech is a little bit off today. I'm not enunciating properly. That's okay. Yeah, so what am I talking about here? I just think I might have broken some dependencies without realizing it. And that's okay, because this is a brand new project. I just need to clean it up a little bit. This, for example, here's what I'll do. Template shapes. Yeah, there's a lot of bits and pieces to kind of clean up here. So let's, you know what, instead of worrying about it, let's try to run this. Fig wheel main. I should one day build a. I think the next app type project I want to do, I want to figure out how to do something with a proper app DB. Oh boy, all kinds of issues. That'll be fun. That's fine. I'll get to that in a second. What am I saying? I want to try something with like an actual proper database, something that has a front and back end. I want to see if I could learn server-side rendering. And mixed with all of that, I wonder if I should try Shadow CLJS instead of Figwheel. Not because I think any of those things are de facto better than other things. I just want to build experience with those tools in general. Because right now, a lot of the stuff I build is it's just a library that outputs components in a sort of static type fashion, or is purely client side rendering stuff, which is fine, but it's, that it needlessly limits some things. So I want to figure out how to run a proper server, like a front end back end type data structure architecture, and go from there. But before I go and do that, I do have to figure out what's going on with all of this. Excuse me. Would appear that I deleted I just did something wrong. Let's go here, sysman quit. All right, let's have a look here. This is a malformed namespace. There we go. Oh, this is not real anymore, so let's delete that shape thing. I've also been having some issues with the shift key on this keyboard. Might be time to retire it permanently. But the annoying thing with that is I use these top keys all the time, and they're really useful, and I don't know the shortcuts if I switch to a more generic keyboard. It's a tough life. I'm just kidding. It's not a big deal. Oh, did I sticky key something? No, things are kind of working. Okay, whatever. I'll worry about that later. Okay, let's see if I can... I'm not sure if you can hear that. I live in an apartment. I'm a few stories up, but you can still hear the garbage truck when it makes all kinds of noise. So I'm not sure if you can hear that, but I certainly can. If it'll actually connect to the browser, that'd be nice. I think it'll error out though, probably. If it actually can establish a connection that's helpful, then I don't have to sysman quit the whole thing right away. But it did. There we go. I can tell because this is switched to cljs.user. Okay, so yes. So here, this is why the closer I get to 1.0 release for the SVG CLJ library, the more careful I have to be about renaming functions. Here's an example. I renamed style element to just style. It's literally the same function. It's just that now anywhere I have the function call in this old code, I have to now get rid of style element. So that's a lot. It shouldn't be too hard. It's just, something to fix. I actually don't know find and replace all in Emacs. I'll have to figure that one out. Okay. Doopy 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 doo. All right, let's see what I can do here. Before I forget to do this, I should do this. See, this is why I'm having trouble with the shift key, you know, sometimes missing shifts. It's horrible. It's horrible. Oh boy. Yeah, I know. Let's do find replace all Emacs. Let's see if I can learn how to do something in Emacs properly. Oh. Let's see. Let's see how that works. Let's go try it in a scratch buffer though, just for ease. Replace string ASDF with something else. ASDF was ASDF. This is ASDF in a sentence ASDF. Okay, now let's try this. Replace string ASDF with wasd. Replace 0. Okay. Probably do I have to do it? Let's try it here. Oh, that's cool. It remembers it. Huh. Okay, that seems pretty risky. But I can undo it all. Okay. Let's see if there's more to this. Okay, so there's a queried search and replace. Okay. Let's see here. Let's try. Oh, that's not at all what I meant to do. That's the record shortcut apparently. Oh, I'm well, that's just not gonna work for me. Okay, what? Well, maybe search. Let's try replace string. That's not what I'm looking for. Okay, it looks like oh, maybe it's queried. Okay, query replace, that's what I'm looking for. Okay. Spacebar, replace and find next. Delete is, okay, let's see here. Oh, I did it wrong. That's silly of me. Okay, let's do mx query replace. Replace ASDF with Adam. Okay, so spacebar will replace it. Delete will pass. Space replace. Pass. Replace. Pass. Replace. Pass. Okay, that's very useful. Let's give that a try. Way over here in, you know what? Let's kill this one. That's at least out of the loop. Okay. Let me see. Okay. Query replace. 0 occurrences. That makes sense. Let's replace. Okay, so it does expand. If it finds a match, it does expand, which is what I was testing there. So let's try this. Query replace. So I want to replace the function call style-element with style. So let's one at a time go through these. So the only reason I wouldn't do it all in one automatic shot is just in case there's a situation where it's an incorrect match, right? Probably that won't happen in any of these cases, but I do think it's important to try and sort it out. Almost done. Could tell I'm 86% of the way through the document, so that's how I'm getting more confident that this is almost done. So I almost certainly could have just done it all in one fell swoop. Replaced 161 of those occurrences. Wow, that's a big deal. Okay, so that particular problem's gone, but of course there's now new ones. Ah yes, the squirrel and rabbit and owl are not there. That is a holdover from... Oh, right. This is interesting. So there's two things I want to switch up here. First of all, I'm going to get rid of this applique part is not needed for this particular project anyway. So I just have to get rid of the applique component here. So that might intro component first point. Oops. Yes, yes, yes. All kinds of issues. I know, I know. Let's go. I'm noticing The markdown thing here is old. I don't need that at all. Okay, so that particular issue should be gone, right? Okay, you know what? Gotta clear that. Save this. Now I've got a clearer-ish picture of what I'm working on here, working with. Okay, so this intro component, let's fix that up. I don't need this markdown stuff at all. You know what? Let's convert this right away into a better structure. So let's swap well, first of all, let's get rid of markdown because I don't need it and I don't want it and I don't have it. So no reason to pretend I do. I do have to do this to close that off, right? Let's do that. We've got a paragraph tag here. All right, getting closer. I like that. That's good. This few notes thing is not a paragraph, but a what's the word? H2 tag. Whoop. Okay. And then here, these strings, let's just make them strings. They go into an unordered list, which I have to just wrap like this. Unordered list is a UL element. Then each of these is supposed to be, and I will make it such, they are LI list items, I believe is what that means. Pretty sure that's what that means. Oh, come on. Shift, you're killing me. The shift key is killing me. Yeah, okay, close that. Intro component should be good. So all I did there, I just refactored this to not need the markdown parse at all, because it is a little bit unnecessary. I might bring markdown parsing back into a more user-friendly version of it. Well, when I start doing a little bit more of a app-oriented focus, as opposed to me just producing a document directly, I might allow markdown parsing to be part of the app building or the document building part of the app, but that is not something I need to do right now, so I shall skip right over that. Did I save this? I did. Okay, I got it. So a bunch of errors. I don't mind. That's okay. I can fix them. So this figure thing will be important. So what I'm going to do to fix that one actually is go to the stylo source code and get the container. I think I put it in the composites here. Yes. Okay, so figure, oh, seriously? There we go. Figure I'm going to copy out of this old library and put it for now in to the bits here. So what the strategy I have here is as I build more and more of these patterns, I'll have fewer and fewer functions that I need to build in for every successive pattern, eventually arriving at a sort of sufficient feature set. And then at that point, the bits here can be refactored into a customer specific namespace or something like that, or a domain specific design namespace, right? You can imagine using my base SVG and 3D modeling libraries. I could use it for 2D diagramming here to make quilt patterns, or I could use it for 2D diagramming for flat sheet steel projects, or I could do it for pipe headers in 3D, right? And the core libraries are going to be the same, but the domains are going to be different. So I might need a pipe routing function for designing heating systems, but I won't need a pipe routing function for designing quilt patterns, right? So those namespaces are design specific or domain specific design namespaces, right? That's what I mean when I say that. I feel as if that's important to have a little bit of structure around how I do that, but let's see here. All right, let's figure out how to fix this stuff then, eh? Right, so I put the figure code in here, but it's still trying to find it in the SVG namespace, which it doesn't have. So I have to fix that too. So let me just do a... okay, now I have to remember the search. Okay, so you've got replace string. Okay, I want to replace SVG slash figure with figure 12 times. That makes sense. Let's see here. Okay, so now there's still problems, but those are related to these things, which I know will not exist. Oh, what's this? That's weird. Oh, no, it's not weird. I understand. Okay. This here, SVG slash SVG. Whoop. Travesty. There we go. SVG dot. Oh, there we go. That should fix that problem. And let me now find where the... Okay, so that Blueberry method stays the same. These templates, that's a stub. I don't need it, or I might need it, but that's fine. Okay, let's have a look at this here. So template component, that's almost certainly where they are. Okay, so I want to keep this in the inch reference. And these template A things, these are what I don't want anymore. Yeah, none of these are necessary for me anymore. Okay, template component, and all of this gets to disappear. Even that and the printable. Oh, you know what? Printable might still be a good thing to have. Let's call it printable area. Those are all reference materials. Let's do this instead. Cut that. Paste that. Yeah. And then here, templates A. I'm gonna just make it, oh, come on. Int reference, printable area ref. I should maybe be consistent with that. And FS, full scale, FS, full scale factor for results in proper scaling when printing to US letter sized PDF via Firefox browser. Other browsers may need testing. Okay, does that make sense? Kinda. Okay, that's fine for now. Actually, let's do this. Paste that there. Yeah. That's clear for now. Okay. Templates component. The default is just going to be oh, let's see here. What's good defaults? Doesn't need to have anything there. It's just going to be template notes followed by templates. Should be template A. It seems a little weird that it's templates. Okay. Template component. Templates component makes sense there because it can have many different templates. Let's see if that results in issues. Okay, it looks like that's actually gonna render now. Question mark. Still not. So there's still errors, but we're stepping in the right direction. We're getting way fewer warnings on here. That's a good thing. Let's check the console. Yes, yes. Nth not supported. Not sure what this is all about, but I'll have to figure that one out now. This could be a more fundamental change based on implementation differences. I'll have to see. All right. Whoa, what did I just do? Oh boy, that's not what I want. Ugh, yeah. That's really not helpful right now. I mean, it's cool that I can see the core CLJS, but that is not. Okay. There we go. That's more helpful. Okay. Centroid. It's being called with what? Okay. Probably. You know what I want to do? Sign off and binding are probably okay. I want to just comment everything out until I get it working thing, and that's not seeming to do it. Okay, blue leaf. This might be, well, I'm not sure what this might be. Let's go have a look at, shape's not the right thing. So these SVG elements that might, no, again, not what I need. So there might be something missing in my I'm a little confused, but confusion's, it can be okay. It's not the end of the world. I just have to figure out if I'm doing things correctly. Right? Right. Okay. Here, let's check the source main. So somewhere in here is a set of elements that are valid in part of. No, that all works. It's okay, so what do I think is happening? I think if I go have a look at the fabric styles here, these different things, these are all fine. Okay, here, everything in here should be okay, right? As should everything here. There's nothing that isn't a regular thing. Oh, I'm in the wrong namespace. That's why that happened. All right, let's try again. Let's see if I can get to the bottom of this. There's blue leaf. It's a group tag. If I thread last blue leaf through SVG rotate 45. Okay, so that's where things are going wrong. Why might that be? End not supported. Okay, so that doesn't make sense to me. Okay. If I do SVG slash rotate, whoops, on 45 on SVG, that does work. Okay, so something's wrong. Something's wrong. That's the moral of this story. I don't quite follow what is wrong. Bummer. Okay, so if I take from blue leaf, I get drop 2. I think that gets me, yeah, if I do apply SVG slash G to drop 2 of blue leaf. Oops. I don't need to apply G to that apparently. Let's just do it directly. Okay. Same problem. Okay, I wonder SVG dash element rotate element 45, 40 is fine. Blue leaf, same problem. Okay, blue leaf. Let's do map SVG rotate 45 56, sure. Over drop 2 from blue leaf. Okay, so rotation works on all of the components independently. So I'm gonna have to get to the bottom of that. I'm gonna take a quick break. I'll be back in about 2 minutes. Won't be long. let's see if I can get to the bottom of this glitch. I'm just genuinely a little confused as to why this is a problem. I don't think I changed anything fundamental, but apparently I might have. Okay. You know what, while I'm here, I may as well see if this is also equally problematic with something like the white leaf piece, right? Indeed it is. Indeed it is. Bummer. Okay, let me think about this just for a second. Okay. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. All right. Yeah, that should work. Let's cider jack into that. It's been snowing all day outside. Kind of cozy. I like that. Okay, here we are. We've got grounds to test some things in a little bit. Oh, this tiny rabbit thing gets to disappear. Oh wait, no it doesn't. That's fine. That's a different rabbit. Okay, let's have a peek. This is blue. Let's use blue flower as a testing basis, and let's go rearrange the windows here just a bit. It's confusing. All right, vid wizard, you can go away for now. Okay, here we go. We've got SVG CLJ and the REPL right here, and the quilt pattern thing that's not totally working yet in here. So now I'm just gonna copy paste a bit of code. Let's just do white leaf, it's easier, into here and just mess around with it in the REPL just to try and replicate the issue and then get to fixing it. Oh, there's you know, let's not do that one. Let's do this one anyway. Just because there's no special shapes in it at all, I just have to get rid of this stuff. Actually, can I Huh, wow, that's cool. Ooh, unable to resolve G in this context. A. That's probably what's going wrong. Is it what's going wrong? Why is that not... What? I've just become confused. I mean, G's right here. Oh, I know. Load file. Being silly today. Source svg clj main.cljc. This should now work. Okay. Blue leaf. There we go. It's a whole structure. Now svg/rotate 45 or 40, like I keep messing up. Blue leaf. Here we are. We've got a problem. Well, first of all is my own brain is being a problem today. Okay, there we go. Nth not supported on this type, double. Okay, so the error occurs when I get to the element predicate check. That's interesting. That means, well, what does that mean? I'm not totally sure yet. I'll have to find out. If I okay, that's probably got, it's probably all going wrong in you rotate transform, group rotate. Well, let's try rotate element of blue leaf, which is a group element here. Okay, so it's going wrong. There's something wrong here already. So blue leaf, right? If that gets destructured at a call here, we've got K is going to be G, props is going to be this, which is fine, and content is going to be everything else contained here. So what part of this calls element? Nothing here calls element, but there's something going wrong. Probably, if I do, I wonder if bounds of this will work. Let's try that. Bounds of blue leaf. Okay, something wrong with bounds. Nth not supported on this type, double. Okay. All right, let's have a peek at that. Okay, map bounds onto content. So let's do map bounds onto drop 2 of blue leaf. Okay. Drop 2 blue leaf. Okay, let's do bounds first of drop 2 blue leaf. Okay, there we go. The bounds work there. This is a little strange to me, but I keep saying that. I'm getting closer and closer every time, so it's just a matter of time. Okay, let's take nth. Oh, I have to vec this if I want nth to work, I think. Do I? Okay, so nth 0, 1, 2. All right, what is nth? What is the nth of that? What is this? What's going on? Okay, ellipse. Something went wrong with ellipse, eh? Okay, if I def a as this piece. Oops. All right, let's have a peek. What's the deal with an ellipse? Okay. Okay. So we can ignore the fill of that, right? There's no... So if I do rotate, nope, sorry, if I just do bounds of a normal ellipse, same issue. If I do rotate 45 of ellipse 2 to 5, ooh, oh no, okay, right. So if I wrap this in a G, I do believe that'll cause an error now. Yeah, okay. Because when I call a group, I rotate based on bounding boxes, not directly. If that makes... Excuse me, I am definitely tired today. My apologies. Okay, but we're getting closer and closer to what's going wrong. So here I have bounds. Oh, before I go too far, let's check bounds element on the ellipse A. Okay, so there is a problem in the bounds element for that ellipse. Okay. Let's have a little look. Oh my. What is the deal with this? Okay, so this is probably what it is. It's probably not centroid. It's probably centroid dash of points is probably going to fix it. Let's find out. There we go. That was it. Okay, we got to save that. Well, now let's sanity check for a moment. Okay, let's just do... so what revealed this problem in the first place was this rotate element, or just rotate, of the blue leaf. And it looks good. So I'm going to commit that change, because that's pretty important. Git status. Fixed bug where bounds would not work on ellipse. Caused group rotations with ellipses to fail. Git push. Okay, so that, unfortunately, that does mean, well, I don't know that it's unfortunate. Oh man, I'm gonna have to change some stuff. That's okay. I wonder. Let's try this. Get full SHA of last commit. I'm not sure this is what I want. Maybe it is. Let's see here. Git rev parse head. Well, maybe that's exactly what I need. Let's try it. Right, so since the fix I pushed is on a new, it's a new thing, I have to change the this here to some new one. Oh, and I will have to, that's one downside to this sort of approach. I mean, I do have to still change things around. Let's check that makes sense though. Let's go here. Let's do here, and let's check the PDF A3157. Yeah, that looks right. Okay, that's cool. All right. I wonder if Circle has that same problem. It looks fine. Okay. You know what? That's good for now. Okay, I want to keep these open for further bug testing later, but I do want to hide those windows. I don't need them. This I can close as well. This here, I need to get that. I need to get the REPL back. It's still there. It's just hidden right now. There we go. Okay. But I need to sysman quit. Reason I'm doing this is I need to reload with the latest code from GitHub, so it needs to re-download and add that to the class path, and then I want to see if that actually fixes the issue or if there's still underlying problems. Hopefully it's good. I think it should be. Anyway, let's just save that to be sure. Cider jack in cljs. The old rigmarole, same every time. Pretty much. Fig wheel, dev please. Let's close this. This we can close too. That's also closable. Hey, there we go. That did indeed fix the problem. Sweet. Happy with that. All right, so there's just a few little tweaks yet. And then things are looking pretty good. Pretty good. I'm just thinking. that's my full sentence. I'm just thinking. distracted today. Okay. Right, so the little tweaks here and there, things like this. This rectangle here is not drawn in the, like I can position it centered. And that rectangle is just a visual indicator of the safe printable area, and I can use that when I'm making templates in the future to make to more quickly make layouts. Does that make sense? I can position true scale templates inside that box. If I just trust that that's the right size, then it's a little easier to do layouts. I don't have to test as many times. That's all I mean. Okay, so to get there, let's, nope, this one, let's just build that in. Here we go. Oh, you know what I should also do? I should search forward for, I want to see where all of my Forge dependencies are, and maybe tweak those a little bit. I'm also wondering if I should factor out a few components into their own little libraries, because as they stabilize, it's useful to have that. Not sure yet. Okay. What was I doing? Oh yeah, I was kind of opening all of these up for the purpose of finding, let's do mx search forward for f/. Okay, here, right? This f/ midpoint I can replace with svg/centroid of points. Right, so these little things probably, let's stylo. Where did this stuff go? Okay. All right. So this is an example of, I don't know exactly what to do with these like tiny little helper functions, like 2 degrees, 2 rad. Round is probably pretty helpful. I mean, average is probably good. Square. You know, like they're just tiny little helpers, but I use them in a lot of places. I just don't know for portability if it's good to just do what I just did here and copy and paste stuff right in there. I'm not sure. But in this case, I'm going to do it this way. These are just handy things for mapping a little bit. These probably, a lot of this can be deleted. So that is the other thing. A lot of these I don't know if I actually need them all. They can be maybe a little bit silly sometimes to have them, you know. But anyway, if I keep going this way, I could now just get rid of that, get rid of this, and keep searching. Ooh, offset's still here. Okay, so that is pretty important to have right now. Okay, maybe offset is a good thing to have in the SVG library. I don't know. It's a little tricky to say. I don't know. But anyway. Oops. Here, definitely this should be replaced. Centroid of points. Is that? Let's check that that's actually a centroid. Yes, good. 0, 0, 1, 1. This should be 0.5, 0.5. Good. That is good. Regular polygon points. Okay, here now I've got to start making a list here. Admin. Okay, that's done. That's done. That's not done yet. Why are these here? They should be to-dos anyway. Okay, I have huge lists to do. And here, to do. I think I actually already have this one, so let me, there we go. And this one, here, org mode, autocomplete, and code blocks. That's not really specific to this project, but hey, that's fine. Let's see here. Roadmap. Candidate features. Let's do this. Candidate features. Okay, here is a good place. Should I add these to the SVG CLJ library, or should they be some different library? Okay. Math helpers. To degree, to rad, vector, arithmetic helpers, v star, v plus, v minus. I don't know what these are properly called. Maybe that's even a thing I should, I don't know. I don't know if I'm doing things in a smart way or a really bad way. I'll have to find out. Offset, regular polygon points. This is kind of a math helper. This is not. This is a major feature. So actually, no, let's do this. These would be called, so there's math helpers, then there's drawing features, and then there's like composite shapes, arrows, dimensions, composite shapes and containers, figure containers. Well, let's quickly see what else is in the bits section, right? That's a good indicator of what should or should not be added. Figure, arrow, label. See, this is just kind of a bad name. I think what I want to do here is container element is not what I mean. Shapes. Okay, text. Okay, so this here. No, this makes sense actually. Yeah, so I'm going to leave that for now. So these are kind of more advanced things, right? So stack, diamond, and template are, diamond is borderline, right? Diamond would be a kind of composite shape. It's not a base level shape, but it's just it just generates points. I think the more I read, the more I speak about this out loud or think about it to myself, I strongly think I strongly suspect, I think these make more sense in separate libraries. Perhaps as namespaces inside a drawing app or something along those lines. Okay. Good enough. It's just gonna have to be good enough for now. So there's one more thing I want to mess around with in this next quilt piece, and that is finishing, binding, and sign off. All that stuff is great. I need to see if these will actually render. It looks, yes. Okay, we actually have visual. That is important. And this even works still, the Blueberry method component. I'm loving it. That is fantastic. Okay, so with this, I should really make a kind of default I don't know. Okay, I don't want to think about this one right now, so I'm going to shift gears to this just a little bit, and I want to mess around with a user input field maybe. Let's try reagent text input field, not filed. Huh. Okay, well, I'm going to start with an extremely basic thing here. Oh man, okay, so this is going to be an important resource, I think, to actually learning. One thing I have to learn to do better is UI. Not UI design, but UI creation. Like getting user inputs that respond quickly and accurately. So some of the little things I built have been, you know, checkboxes and sliders and stuff, but they react really slowly because I just tie their values directly to huge computations. So I need to be way more clever about the architecture of my front ends, and it's kind of hard to know where to start. So the reason I'm thinking about this is here, this Clamber app is going to have some user input stuff, and it's going to kind of live update a workout schedule kind of thing. But I want it to feel and look intuitive and smooth, right? So I have to be kind of careful with the state management and design of that stuff. And I have no idea how to do all that. So I just have to kind of look at examples, read up on good design and all that stuff and get going. But I'm just going to get my other REPL up and start messing around, because that's a fun way to do it, at least for now. All right, here we are. So let's just check Clamber, blah, 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 blah. Oh. I must have double defined something here. All right, let's have a look. Where is it? I'm a little bit confused about that. Let's MX search forward, def v. Okay. What? V plus at line 1 is being replaced. I must have it. Oh no, what have I done? Why am I... what? Oh crap. I've got a slight misconfiguration here. I need to fix that. Let's kill that and fix it up. How about that? Okay, so my tangles are not all going to the right spot. That's the problem I have. This embed script is something else. README is fine. Don't know why. Sometimes it does that. Org mode, it like fails to update the highlighting of some stuff there, but seems okay here. All right, here we are. This is Clamber, not that. Okay. State's in the right spot. Clamber's in the right spot. Clamber this in the right spot. Mount that. Good. All right, let me remove Hercules. Let's save Let's make sure that's working. Okay. It looks better this time. This, now I have to close. That's fine. Save this. Cider. There we go. Looks better. No weird issue with the... Right, so what is a good thing to mess around with, right? That's the question. Okay, here we are. Let's get that namespace opened up. Let's check that this works. There we are. Now we're cooking. So this here is definitely, this is the goal of this app eventually. Starting out really simple, not taking in much of anything. Actually, you know, I'm not going to share it on the screen here because it's in my mail, but I'm going to pull up a little bit of the feature requests for this thing and get things going. Let's have a little pecorino. Okay, so it's def time base plans. Okay, so here I'm just gonna 4x3 x 2 x 1 flow. Oh, this I should do like that. Group it up. This is oh, let's make it unordered list. Here, list item, 4 weeks, base fitness, 3 to 1 weeks. Base fitness, strength, training, power, and endurance. Okay, let's start with that. Okay. Oh, that's not all the base plans either. It's just one base plan. So this is just mocking out some super basic things. That's really all it is. Oh, wait a second. That might be... Maybe it is only... Let's just leave it at that. Okay, intro, base plan. Okay, so then some of the inputs would be... Well, save this. Okay. Hey, Sing B. Been a while. Looks like I'm working on something very different from before. Yeah, well, yes and no. Well, first of all, good to see you. Thanks for joining in the chat. I hope you're well. So this maybe is a peek into my brain a little bit. I have two kind of main projects going on right now. I've got well, I should say I have three. So the two that are for other people are one, 2D designs for quilt patterns and stuff like that, which you've very likely seen before. It's still stuff like this, 2D diagrams with SVG. This one is called Clamber. It's another app idea that I'm mocking up basically for someone who is a boulder climbing instructor, and he had the idea to see if we could make a sort of workout plan builder, and I thought that would be a fun thing to do. So those are two distinct things for other people. And the third thing I'm doing is CAD software development, which is kind of related to these 2D diagrams, related to 3D modeling, that sort of thing. But all three of those I kind of bounce around with sometimes, and I don't do them all on stream. So on stream it might look a little more like just the SVG stuff all the time. But today I just wanted to, because I have to make a little bit more headway on this this mock-up. So I figured I'd just I'd just chug away at it a little bit here. So it looks like it's different, and I guess they're all different sort of things, but my head, I don't know, maybe, I don't know if everyone has that, and maybe it's not always a strong suit of mine, but I like to sometimes, if I've got three things going on, I make really good headway in project A, then I hit a roadblock, and then I know, okay, well now I can advance project B a little bit, or project B has some downtime, so I can swap to project C. So my CAD library stuff is the hardest stuff. It's math intensive, it's 3D modeling, it's 2D, it's balancing good architecture design with simplicity, and the CAD world can be complicated, which is fun, but it means I run into roadblocks a lot. So project A goes boom, 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 pause, stuck. I'm sick of it. Then, okay, I'll do a 2D design pattern. Okay, well, I finished that, and the next one's not coming for a month. Okay, now I can work on this one, or, whatever. So I ping back and forth quite a bit, but that's just the way I'm working right now. That's not a endorsement of switching all over the place all the time. It's just how I like to do it. And, all of those projects are Clojure based at the moment. So, at the very least, this chair needs to be replaced. At the very least, I have good practice in Clojure overall, which is a nice thing. So, yeah, that's pretty good. And, talking about distractions, I put this up on my GitHub gists today. I made so I started making YouTube videos to kind of build audience there and build audience here, and just kind of do some more programming related content. And so editing those videos, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the tool FFmpeg, but it's like a command line tool for manipulating video, and it works really well for a lot of stuff. Anyway, you can use it to script some automated video editing. And I made a Clojure a hacky Clojure thing that automates some of my video editing. So that, you know, talk about distraction. That's a major distraction. But yeah, it's all fun. It all bumps around in my brain at the same time, you know. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this is turning out. Right, so that, for example, is a script it uses Clojure, but it's a total 90-degree deviation from doing CAD work, right? But it does help me with a few things, so happy with that. Yeah, so that was about 2 hours ago that I put this one up there. It should work. And I say it should work. It does work on my computer. That's the thing, right? The works on my machine is not a sign of good design, right? It's just a sign of hacking something together. Still proud of it because it actually works nicely. Yeah, the famous it'll work on my machine. Exactly. Right. And I admit as much here. This is a first pass hacky script for automating some FFmpeg magic. So fully transparent with the fact that this is not the best thing, but it absolutely does work. You know, while I'm on the topic, since I'm so excited about it, I'm going to show you very briefly the result, just a sample of it. Let's see here, movies. Okay. So here, let me just make sure. Okay, good. If I open screen.mov, so I just tested this with a 4-minute clip. So this raw footage, it's a little weird looking, but basically I have code on the left, and I have, this is my iPad screen on the right. Then, if I open camera, it's me. So this is me talking into the mic, blah, 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 right? Those two pieces of footage are happening at the same time, right? So I need to audio sync them, and I need to overlay them, and I need to crop them and all that kind of stuff. I ran this script, and I have the output from it. Oh, did I delete the output? I might have deleted the output. Oh, no. So this is the result. You can't hear it, but in the footage I clapped. That's just a simple way to synchronize the audio from one source to the audio of the other. If I didn't, so I have a function that automatically synchronizes the clap. It automatically resized the camera, put the border around it, and cropped the video and padded it to 1080p. All did that automatically. So that's a really awesome pre-cut for my YouTube videos. And that, yeah, so that's all. So it legitimately works, and it saves me tons of time. I'm really happy with that. And it'll make my videos nice and consistent. At least the code side of it will be consistent. So I'm happy with that. But that's a total tangent, and that's just an example of how I like to focus on projects, but if there's an idea or a thing that I think I can do in a weekend or something like that, I almost like hyper focus on that, get something working, and then I can breathe easy and move on to something again. Again, not advocating that as like the master programmer approach, but you know, I want to work so that I live in a calm and happy manner, and when I can move with my brain's attention rather than against it, I feel happier. So I do it. I think that sounds reasonable. Anyway, enough about me. How are things with you? Are projects going well for you? Are you staying safe and healthy and all that stuff? I hope you are. Yeah, whatever gets you going is the master way. Yeah, I'm pretty okay with that. It's a nice sort of philosophy, if you will. I like that. All right, let's see. Oh yeah, I'm just kind of so I have on my phone here the person I'm doing this with sent me kind of a timeline and some input output ideas. So I'm just kind of codifying a little bit of that. Um, so let me just actually create a list of inputs, def inputs, literally call it inputs for now. Probably want to change that to something cooler sounding later, but this is good for the time being. I'm good. Work's been busy. You haven't been able to join much. You have some breathing time today, so you're glad to join in here. Well, so I say this to anyone who tunes in. There's never any. Don't feel pressure to come in if you're busy. Everyone has to live their lives. I completely understand, and you can't hurt my feelings by not being in the stream. That's totally fine. And then, of course, I say it is always lovely when people are tuned in and talking in the chat. So when you're here, I am super appreciative, of course. It's always really nice to have people in the chat. But yeah, if you're busy, right? That's the way life is. But glad to hear you've got a little bit of breathing time. Being busy at work is not always good, but it's not always bad. I find sometimes it is really nice to be in a busy work mode. It just puts your mind in a certain sort of mindset that can feel good for a bit, and then of course you need breaks, right? So hopefully you're hitting that right balance of work and break and all that kind of stuff. Either way, I'm glad you're here. I am glad you are here. Let's see, what were the inputs now? Let's just make them H3 so they stand out. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so this input is going to be so I will have to design a state atom, but I don't want to yet. I'm just lazy at the moment, to be completely blunt about it. Let's change this up just a smidge. Okay, so here is going to be, it's going to just be a span with a strong, and the strong is going to be the label goal. And this is just going to be, oh wait, I think I can do this, right? If I just do boulder ropes. So I don't know if you're familiar. Thanks, glad to be here. Oh, that's great. I don't know if you're familiar with rock climbing at all, but bouldering and ropes are two different forms of climbing. Bouldering is a more intense climb, but way shorter. So you don't climb with ropes at all. This is outdoor bouldering. Let's do indoor bouldering. Yeah, so indoor, there's some top rope climbing there. What's a good example? Oh, that's cool. In someone's house. Okay, here's an example. This woman is climbing, but there's no ropes or anything. They're just using the handholds, and the fall is, hopefully she has some pads underneath her. But if you fall off the wall, you fall and land on your back. Or if you're stable enough, you land on your feet just on some padding. It's like you're going maybe 10, 12 feet on a wall. So it's not that bad. I mean, you still have to sign a waiver. But here, for example, these people are only climbing up to the red line on that wall. That's called bouldering. I do bouldering a lot. It's tons of fun. It's it can be pretty intense. And then rope climbing is exactly what it sounds like. You're not climbing a rope. Top rope climbing. You are climbing outdoors or indoors where you're harnessed in, and the climbs are much longer, and then you have a rope and someone to belay you, someone to control the rope on the other side. There are other rope climbing forms, but basically the two modes, bouldering, they're shorter climbs without ropes, higher intensity usually, so more power, more strength, less endurance. And then there's rope climbing, longer climbs, more endurance, more flexibility, that kind of stuff. And it's a little loose though. Basically, bouldering, no ropes, ropes, ropes. Pretty straightforward. Access. Bouldering gym. Ooh, that is bad. That looks terrible. Why is that? Okay, whatever. It's fine. Everything's fine. I don't, ugh. So one thing I'm not a huge fan of sometimes is indenting can either make your code have tons and tons of lines or be spread way out this way. Maybe that's just me not being not being really good at code design, but I don't know. Bouldering gym, rope gym, or you know what? Let's only leave it at bouldering or rope gym. If you're training outside, that's probably not happening. Again, this is not like this is not actually input, right? I'm going to change this structure out. I'm just putting in words so that I have something to go on. I don't know about you, but it's so hard to think about how to proceed with something if it's literally just a blank screen. If it's just white, like I have no idea where to start. But if I stub things in with nothing but text, okay, now I've got text to think about. Okay, well, what if this text were a button? Or, oh, I noticed that this part is actually the variable I need to change. And then I can build from there. I say it a lot in the stream is I do the dumb thing first. And then if you've got a dumb thing in place, you can make a smarter thing over top of it. And if you iterate over that enough, you have a sufficiently intelligent thing to solve the problem, but not overly engineered, right? Because you start with simple, and the idea is you build more intelligence into things as appropriate and not more than necessary. It's a hard thing to balance sometimes, but if you start with the dumb thing, you're guaranteed to have at least the dumb version of something, which is better than nothing a lot of the time. It also keeps me humble, right? If all I can ever think of is the dumb thing, which is not true, sometimes I have good solutions, but if all I ever deliver is the dumb thing and that still works, it's humbling in the sense that, okay, look, I'm not the smartest person in the world, but doing things this way, I still managed to accomplish something useful, something valuable, and here's proof of that. I actually delivered a thing, and that feels really nice while still being like realistic. You know, it's not I'm a super genius. No, I'm a average kind of person who wrote something that worked reasonably well. And then to get better, you just iterate, keep going. Eventually you get some nice outputs. And that's my approach, loosely speaking, and I'm happy with it. Commitment. So the commitment of days in the week, you have just the options of 2 days, 3 days, 4, 5. You know, you're also like a good programmer. You know what? I'll take it. You know, I'm gonna take that as a compliment. That's pretty funny. I've never heard that one before, programmer. I do occasionally get comments from people about. I was like, you think about stuff a lot, don't you? And it's like, yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe, I suppose. But I like to. At least part of the reason it's a very good thing. Oh well, I appreciate it. Thank you. Part of the reason. I wonder if part of it comes from anxiety. I I did worry quite a bit when I was younger. You know, I wanted to be that goody two shoes kind of student, but I realized that was more limiting than anything, right? So I do my best to get over those kinds of thought patterns. But I think the bulk of where that comes from is what I really do love is not being some super genius, because I'm totally not. What I love is uh, learning a thing because it makes me uh, excited and capable in some way of, like, a new way of thinking is enjoyable to me. And then on top of that, I love sharing knowledge or insight or uh, perspectives, not because I know everything, but because if I know a thing that helped me, suddenly it becomes, if I can share it effectively with one person, it's now double in its quote unquote power, right? Because it's helped me and it's helped someone else. Okay, so if I can explain it to 5 people, well, it's approximately 5 times more powerful, quote unquote. And so that would dictate, if I like that, which I do, you know, if I could be empowered by something, it's nice to share it with other people. But to get the maximum possible benefit, it's important to be able to communicate things in terms that aren't needlessly weird, right? Like, I don't want to use jargon that just confuses everyone. You want to try explain concepts in as simple a manner as possible that still conveys what you need. So my motivation is, I like sharing ideas, I like learning stuff, and it's just fun to talk about stuff like that. Hey, this excited me. Look at this, check it out. That sort of thing. I just love it. And so really liking that just makes me pay attention to how I'm explaining things and how I'm trying to think through things. It doesn't make me better in any way. It just means I do it a lot. And I think every human mind ends up working in that way, where if you do a thing a lot, you get better at the thing you do, right? So I think, if I, you know, to be long-winded about it, I think the reason I come off in that philosophical sense is just because I do try to pay attention to how I'm describing things, because I feel good when people understand a thing that I've explained. And the reason I care about that is because it's empowering, not only to me, but to other people. And there's that nice bonus of, if I can explain something sufficiently well, it's usually a good indicator that I actually know that thing reasonably well. So I learn better as well when you learn by teaching, all that kind of stuff. It's fun. It is just tons of fun. All right, what other inputs do I have here? Ability. This is a tough one, but it's a good important one to... We've got beginner, intermediate, right? And then we've got advanced. So the interesting thing, if I'm looking at these inputs, the cool thing is actually figuring out that some of these things you could maybe get good estimates for them on the back end, right? Like, it'd be cool to have what you might call proxy questions that the user doesn't feel like they need to game it, right? Like, if you ask someone who wants to train what their base skill level is, and you give beginner, intermediate, or advanced as options, the user might be overly humble and say they're beginner. They might be genuinely between beginner and intermediate and can't pick properly. They might be advanced and want to pick intermediate. They might be totally new, but think that they're intermediate. So you get this subjective error in people's responses. Not a huge deal, right? Since this is going to be self-administered fitness routines, right? So it's up to the individual no matter what. But it would be really cool if you could instead say something like, I don't know, in the past 6 months, have you gone climbing on a regular basis, or something to that effect. And then you use that. If the answer is never been climbing, then you just put them in beginner. If the answer is climb very regularly, you can at least base it on intermediate and then ask them a follow-up question later. And you can kind of tie 3 different proxy questions into a heuristic about, okay, probably this user is intermediate. But now I digress and get too far ahead of myself. I just think that would be a cooler way to set up inputs so that people don't feel compelled to kind of game it a little bit, and not, maybe game it is the wrong way to say it. I don't know. It just takes away accidental dishonesty. Let's see here. Oh wait, I skipped one. Imbalances. So imbalances are weak joints, sore areas, recent injuries. Okay, so those kinds of things you'd need like a map of a human, right? And they would have to be able to, either they just put it in text or they kind of highlight regions where they have weaknesses and stuff like that. Maybe that's too much for a first pass, but it's in there as a starting point. All right, average session duration. I don't know. I'm gonna kind of guess at this. So we've got 1 hour, 2 and 3 hours. Those can easily be changed, so I'm not gonna worry about that too much. Oh, that was atrocious. Span, strong. Okay, almost done with these. Okay, actually no, that is all the inputs. All right. Jeez, it's not gonna look very good, I can tell you that much. All right, let's do inputs. Let's see. Oh, that's even worse than I thought. That looks so bad. Right. So this has no spaces between it. Here's why I thought it would look a little better. I was thinking that this would automatically insert spaces between these, but that is not the case. I would have to do this, I think, interpose spaces between, and then pop this into its own vector. Oops, I did that a little bit wrong. I think this would get the result I want. Let's see. Kind of. So you could barely see it, but that did put spaces between these here. But it's gross. I don't like it. Let's change this up just a bit here. Maybe. What's a smart way to do it? Okay, I have an idea, and I'm gonna just be okay with it. First, let's just clean up. Oops, let's just clean this up ever so slightly. The reason I'm not worrying too much, because this is all gonna disappear soon enough anyway. This is just mocking, like I said before. That's my justification to myself. It's fine, everything's fine. Okay, so here's one thing I haven't figured out a good solution for. So I write my code inside org mode files. Right, so I could do heading, subheading, and I can put code blocks in here. I could do Python, right? I don't like how it indents that. I usually dedent it. I don't like heavy indentation, but that's just a me thing. I don't know, 2 times 2. And if I run that, that should spit the result. Apparently there's no results. I don't know. I haven't used Python. There we go. Return 2 times 2. Anyway, so I can use org mode for all that stuff, right? It's great for other headings. This should be before Python stuff, right? You can pop it around just like that. Move things around really quickly. It's really nice. You can even, right, you could have below is code. This is just notes and text, right? I really like it. Anyway, get to the point, man. The point is org mode interprets double square brackets as a link, right? And this links to nothing. So it's fine in text areas, but for some reason, and I don't know why, it's also interpreting this whole chunk as a link inside this code block, and I haven't figured out how to turn that off. And it's a huge pain in the butt, because if I click anywhere inside here, it'll try to open it as a link unless I click and drag in there or something, right? If I just click it quickly, it tries to run code or something, and it's ugly, and I don't like it. And I wish it would stop, but I don't know how to solve that problem yet. So sometimes what I do is just space it like that, but it looks wrong, and it is wrong. It's all a big old mess is what I'm trying to say, and I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so this span goes like that. Okay, so now I can at least do this. I'm talking more than I'm writing code at the moment. Hope you're cool with that. Because that's just how the day's going. All right, let's do this. One of those, and this needs to be cleaned up as well. Close that, close that. Let's see if I made any mistakes. Right, I still want to oh, right. Did I want to actually keep these as spans or turn them? If I turn them into divs, they should auto. Yeah, okay, there we go. There we go. That's a little slightly cleaner. Not much better, but all of these will be replaced with, you know, different types of inputs. Oops. I wonder, it would be really cool to have a sort of macro that kind of goes over a state element, or pardon me, state atom, and detects, like maybe I could have something like this if I def inputs to be a kind of map, right, where I have I don't know, maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe it is. Let's theory craft here a little bit. Let's def single input map idea. There we go. Guaranteed that's not going to be misused. Well, you can never guarantee that, but whatever. Okay, the idea here would be something like you've got an input type, which would be, actually no, what I would love is that the type of input is actually decided for you based on stuff like so there's the label of the input, maybe. So let's say the label for the goal input is that, and then you've got the options, or you call it something like values. Oh, wait a second. Okay, let me finish this thought. So imagine the values are something like boulder and ropes, right? So that map, if you pass it into this imaginary function or macro, it would automatically output something like this. It would be div, I don't know if this is formatted correctly, but go with me here. Input type radio, and then it would have, you know, the options listed, or it would be drop down, you know, something like that. So if the values were just a list of strings, it would either be a radio if it were 2 or 3 options, or at 4 or more options it would default to drop down. If it were something else, like imagine it were not goal but day commitment, right? You would have the values would be, it would be a range. I guess you could even just do range 2 to 5, or some clever way of putting range data in there, as in 2 to 5 inclusive is valid. But what I'm realizing here is basically, if the structure of every single input map that I'm thinking about here is a label and then some values, why not just have it literally be like, have def all inputs be a map of the input label is just going to be the label directly, and then the value for that key is going to be whatever options it is, and then the act of, and then you put that all in the state atom, and then you update all of that by well, no, let me think for a second. That actually wouldn't necessarily be the state atom. That would be that would just be a regular map that enumerates the choices, right? The state atom would then be, state is r/atom, and it would be, I'm thinking fast and loose here. I don't necessarily know if this is smart. I'm just kind of going through ideas. So the state itself would be different because, at least in the sense that, you know, if maybe there's more state, there'd be user inputs as a state key here. And then here, it would basically be all of the keys from inputs with the user specified value, and it would just be a singular value. And then what you could always do is validate your user input state versus the allowed inputs as defined by this, and some kind of maybe spec or something like that. I don't know. But if this is theoretically how I want to define my inputs, I can make a simple component that renders all of that out. Like I could render inputs out as buttons and all of that with just a input component or something. And then the state would be, like all of this stuff would be different because it would be used later on to render, if you have 3 days a week, it would render your week block with only 3 blocks instead of 4 or 5. But that would not come from the inputs, that would come from the state. Not sure if that's making any sense, but that's kind of what I was thinking. So let's do, I mixed this up, by the way. This should just be goal. And what I would prefer actually is to do it this way: goal, access, and then when I'm rendering it, you can render, like if you do string, let's take the goal key as an example, you turn the goal into a string. Actually, you could take name of the key, goal. You get its name, which is goal without the colon in front. And then you can do string slash, oh, do I not have the string library in here? I always forget something. Clojure.string as string st. There we go. Right, so if I do string slash uppercase name goal, I don't think that does what I think it does. Nope, a little bit wrong. Oh, capitalize is what I want, I think. Yes. Right, does any of that make actual sense? This is garbage. Base plan is base plan, that's fine. I'm gonna write out myself a little note here. So idea for defining inputs, valid values, and preparing the state from user input. Consider all inputs to be basically a name value pair. Use maps directly to specify all inputs. Each key is the name, and the key's value is a representation of possible user input values. For example, a radio button selection would be represented, as a vector of keys or strings. 2 to 3 options. A drop down would be a vector of 4+ items. Slider would be a numerical range, etc. A macro or function could take the inputs map and build an appropriate render of them all. I have to go to the washroom. I will be right back. Whoop, oh yeah, I've got a bunch of half-finished things. I'll fix that when I get back. It won't be too long. Here. Alright, I'm back, but I gotta go soon, so I gotta fix up these half-finished functions really quickly and kind of go from there. So goal, let's just finish up this access thing for a minute. Ooh, here we go right away with something that already there's a limit to my idea a little bit, and that is so this access thing, right? This works if only one option is valid, right? But here, this would be, you might have access to both types of gyms, right? You might have access to both a rope gym and a bouldering gym, so you would need to be able to do a checkbox. But there's no way, without annotating it somehow, there's no way to know that you want this to be a checkbox and this to not be. And I don't think it's smart. Like, I could do something like this where I name this, I give this like access check and then goal radio, but then I'm just annotating things in non-standard ways, and that's not a good idea. So I have to think about that a little more. Problem can't, oh boy, can't type, that's the problem. Can't disambiguate between list for check boxes versus for drop down. Single valid option versus many valid at once. Right, so I have to figure that one out. Not a big problem, but something to work on. State, I'm going to get rid of that. Derive the user input part of state from the inputs map and user interaction. Start all input values as nil until user populates the value. That's the idea. I'll go from there. And here we are. Some notes on how to proceed. A really lame example of something. I don't need to tangle it in there. Let's leave it like that. So it's not part of the code, it's just there as an example. And then here we've got the base inputs, and I have the next thing to do is turn all of these into some form of input that actually works. So goal, boulder, or ropes, you pick one, right? Access, you checkbox any of them. Commitment, you select one of those. And then as you're doing this, you're going to see beneath a sort of grid that represents your week-to-week schedule populate automatically and change up based on various inputs. So that's the whole idea, and I'm going to work on that tonight, but I'm actually going to go right now. I've been, you know what? It's been a pretty good day for me, and I got to go do a workout soon. It's still snowing outside, so might not do a crazy workout, but it's always good. Got to stay fit. Okay. Take it easy. Yeah, I'm going to have a good day. Good evening. Singing B, thanks for tuning in. I always appreciate that. Hopefully I'll see you around again. Oh, it's Tuesday, right? Yeah, so I won't be streaming tomorrow. I'll be Thursday and Friday again. And yeah, that'll be me. Wednesdays I always have off, so. All right, you take it easy too, okay? Thanks. Anyone else who's tuned in or tuning in later, I always appreciate that too. Stick around because I always like to stream, and I plan on growing the channel and keeping things going. So I'll see you around. See you later. Have a good night or day or whatever time it is. I'll be back later. See ya.